It's not just about mastering technology. It's not just about brand or messaging. It's not just about making more money. It's about showing up in a big way so your people can find you. This is about bringing your most wild and authentic self into the hustle and grind. Welcome to Tactical Magic, a business strategies podcast for the warrior goddess entrepreneur. Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Molly Mandelberg, and I am interviewing a good friend of mine, Carrie Seid. Carrie Seid is an artist and high-performance coach for creative professionals. She's a nationally recognized artist who exhibits her work in galleries, museums, and public spaces around the country. In addition to her art practice, Carrie works as a creative catalyst, coaching creative people to rise to their highest aspirations and creative dreams. Carrie is also a writer, workshop leader, speaker, and founder of the FlowZone, an online and ongoing group membership program for creative people from all disciplines. Carrie received her BFA from Rhode Island School of Design and her MFA from Cranbrook Academy of Art, where she was a merit scholar. Originally from Chicago, Carrie now lives and works in her home in Tucson, Arizona, amid jackrabbits, bobcats, coyotes, javelina, and her trusty cat Ollie, who we just put outside actually because I happen to be at Carrie's house right now visiting her on my spring tour. So hi Carrie.
Hi Molly.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, great to have you. Great to see you, play with you.
I don't usually say that to people on my podcast, but today it's appropriate. So today we wanted to talk about creativity and the immutable identity that comes along with being a creative professional. So Carrie has such an amazing background as a professional artist, and she's doing really incredible things for creative individuals who are reaching for that sustainable income as a professional, doing what they love and bringing their art to the world and believing that that is possible. And Carrie really exemplifies that so well. So would you tell us just a little bit about your story and what that identity shift has been like for you, and just a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. Well, it's a long story, so I'll try to keep it abbreviated. But basically, I was trained as a young artist to be a designer because I thought I should do something practical and make good use of the college dollars I was being treated to. And I went to art school, but I was trained as a textile designer. And much to my shock and the shock of my parents, I got a job as a textile designer in New York City right out of school. And pretty soon, within a couple of years, I realized that it really wasn't creative enough for me and that it seemed like a waste of art school because inside I had a drive to do more. I just didn't know what it was, but I trusted it enough to quit my job and move back to Rhode Island where I had been a student and just created a business using those materials that I already had. Didn't have to buy anything, and I started making jewelry out of paper back in the late 80s.
Wow. So
that I could have a life that was more like the life of an artist. And still at that time, I didn't feel like I was entitled to be an artist because to me that was such a luxurious brass ring. It seemed relegated, and, for other people who weren't me. Like I just didn't think that I deserved it, I guess.
like something you had to earn or something.
Yeah, or something that would just be cast upon you as some sort of weird delegation, Poof, I declare you now an artist. I didn't really realize I could declare myself one, right? So, plus I was on my own. I needed to make a living and support myself. So I did support myself making paper jewelry for 3 years. And so now I'm getting to about 10 years after I started art school in the first place. And by that time I realized, oh gosh, this is closer to what I want to do. It's more personal work that I'm doing, and it's all mine and it's of me, but still I'm in sales. I have such a big component of my business. It's just about selling things. It didn't feel creative enough. So at that time, I applied to graduate school, having had an amazing learning experience at a summer workshop where I was really encouraged to go to grad school. And it was not until grad school that I really grasped the idea that I could be and wanted to be a fine artist. And from there, I became a teacher because I still needed to make a living. And I taught in universities and colleges around the country for almost 20 years.
Wow.
And after 19 of those years, I realized that I could make more money if I wasn't teaching, because I was doing well enough in my art practice that it didn't really make sense for me to give so much energy to teaching. But all of this by way of saying that it took me a lot longer to have the feeling of deserving it than I want my clients to have.
Right.
And that's why I became a coach.
Yeah. So I just want to backtrack 1 second, because what you just sort of skimmed over in your story was the fact that you allowed yourself even more exploration time as an artist because you had the regular income of being a teacher. So it was like you chose to have a regular income while you got your art business off the ground. I just want to point that out to some people who might be listening.
Oh, yeah.
That it's okay to have a paying gig while you do the research and development phase of your business.
Yeah.
It almost takes a lot of the pressure off that perhaps it would have been too desperate to keep making the art if you hadn't had that sort of cushion under you.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's such an important point. And part of it is that it puts a lot of responsibility on your artwork, on your creative output, whatever that is,
Yeah.
to make you an income, right?
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely, you're right. Elizabeth Gilbert points this out in her book, Big Magic, as well, that it's very important to incubate your creativity and incubate your artwork as it's evolving, and make sure that you can fund it and feed your face and have shelter and all that. But I love teaching, and that's also why I became a coach, is because I love teaching so much. I missed it when I quit, and I still wanted to work with people.
Yeah.
But for a long time, I had those parallel tracks running, and it's true that teaching really fed my artwork, because I was in the art field all day with other artists. And so I was thinking about it, I was talking about it, I was showing slides of it, and I was building up that other part of my business.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
So for those people who are listening who are facing some sort of an identity crisis around that, like, am I an artist? Am I a business owner? Am I really doing this? Or is it just a hobby? What words of wisdom would you want to share with people in that stage?
The words of wisdom that I wish I had heard when I was younger and having those feelings for the first time are, it's okay to want something big. Mm-hmm. It's okay to be that person who wants that big thing, even if you're not the person with the resume yet who has it. It starts with wanting it. Everything starts with a desire, with a drive, with an urge, with an impulse. So it's okay to be yourself is what I want to impart to anyone thinking about that. And also, the being of yourself is something that's going to change many times over the years.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing that I've come to really not only love, but nurture.
Yeah.
And nurture the changes that can happen, and nurture the moment of asking my artwork, what do you want from me? Why are we in this together? What are we doing here today? Mm-hmm. What's this conversation about? Because I believe that whatever art I make or anyone makes is a living thing, and it has its own reason for being. And really, it's just like an answer to that day's question.
Right.
So the next day you might have a new question, and ditch all your materials because you're sick of them, or you're just done, you know? And so identity crisis is a moment to give yourself room to breathe and ask a new question, which is, what does this identity want today? What does this body want? What does this heart want? What does this intellect want?
Yeah.
What do I want for lunch?
What's alive today for me?
What's alive today for me? Yeah, and to really, really, really listen to your instinct and your intuition, because that is the guide star for your creativity and always will be.
Yeah. And that goes for business as well. I mean, I started a few months back not working on a project unless it was really alive for me. Like, it was guiding itself because it was so ready to come into the world, and not working on the projects, the 5 or 10 other projects that I've got going at a time that aren't supercharged and have gestated enough and are ready to be born into the world, because it's just so much more work and it's not fun. And those are not the places where we get turned on by our work. And those are not the places that keep us alive in the way that if we work on the thing that's alive and we ask that question, business, what do you want today? Studio, what are we making today? Like craft, muse, what wants to come through me? That we're going to generate something better in this world if we're asking those questions.
Absolutely. And we're better at it, right? It just stands to reason we'll be better at the things we enjoy doing.
Yeah.
I don't like doing dishes, so therefore I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
I make sure to stay not good at it because, if I were to become good at it, then I should be the one doing it. And that makes no sense for my life.
Right.
Because I don't want to do it. So, I'm very clear about that.
I just got so many insights into my mom. It was just fun.
Good. Yeah, it's a Mobius strip, right? Like we make the things that lead us into places we want to go, and then try to figure out, do I want to stay here? Is this still fun?
Right.
And I think a lot of people get stuck creatively because they're bored. They're just done. They're done answering the question on the table that might have been a question from 5-10 years ago.
Right, and they're not sure how to ask a new one or if they're allowed to.
Because they think they're supposed to be that person making that work.
Yeah.
And that's, silly. Like, what's the point? To me, it's about experimenting all the time and asking, what if? And what if I do it this way? And how can this be different from the last one? What can I learn here?
Right, and
that
am
keeps
I
it alive for
allowed
me.
to change gears is another one.
Yeah.
Like leveling up from am I a student to am I an artist, or am I a teacher to am I a professional artist, or from an artist to a coach. In my life, it was, the starving artist hippie archetype to now being a business owner. And what the hell does that mean for me? And it took a while of testing out, like wearing all black and wearing closed-toed shoes and trying to play the role of business owner until I realized that I get to actually be me.
Right.
And do it as me.
Yeah.
And that looks a little bit different than starving artist hippie, and it looks a lot different than what I thought business owner meant. But that sort of identity transformation is really important to allow yourself to explore, I think. And that's really what we were going to talk about on this is, how to let yourself feel into who you are or who you aren't. I know that's one of your speech titles. Do you want to say more about that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm about to give a talk called "Who Do You Think You Aren't?" because we get so limited about that and put bookends around who we think we are according to who other people think we are, who we've been, who our galleries expect us to be, who our children expect us to be, our partners, whomever, our teachers even, that it can just be really suffocating to true creativity, which is about the pushing on what's possible, right? Not just what's possible, but what are the 10,000 possibilities of that thing. So it's fractal. And it's geometric. It grows geometrically. And it can be very overwhelming also, which is why people get freaked out because they want to, myself included, run away from the possibilities and right to the TV set and turn on reruns of something, please God, so I don't have to think about all these possibilities and how powerful I truly am or might be. So it takes a lot of courage to even face the reality of how amazing we might be and how many things we might do in a given day because it's true.
It's terrifyingly huge.
Yeah.
I get it.
But it's also so inspiring and so exciting once you're willing to learn to tolerate
and play with it.
The cadence of that. Yeah, play with it, exactly.
Yeah.
So
instead of being so overwhelmed by all of it, it's like choose one of those things and go play with it and see what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Or don't, but know that you can at least, shop for the idea, right? You can keep it in the hopper as a potential. It is something that might happen.
Yeah.
Maybe not today, but today I woke up and already I've had a very different day than the one I planned because I let myself change the plans.
Right.
And it felt really great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the kind of creative life I like to live. It's not just about what happens in the studio, but how I can answer the call of my imagination and my intuition telling me, oh, but you could do it this way too.
Oh.
What's over here?
Is there anything you do to sort of keep track of those many possibilities? Like when you're present to the cornucopia of routes you could take or of crafts and projects that you want to create, how do you organize that? Because you can't bring it all to life at once. Like, is there a system for that?
Well, okay, the big answer is I'm trying to figure out how to clone myself to be like 10 different people because I need a schoolhouse with many rooms that all have different disciplines and ideas and trajectories, and my own life, even if I live to be very old, will not be long enough to do all the things I want to do.
Yeah.
But the short answer is, or the short-term plan until I figure out how to clone myself is I do a lot of mock-ups. I just make artwork that isn't glued down yet. And in my process, that's easy and fun. Mm-hmm. So lately I've taken to just arranging things and photographing them so that I'm not committed to it. It's just something to think about. And that's my form of sketching because I feel like I don't have time in life to sketch and then sculpt. So I've sculpted in a way that I am sketching, if that makes sense. And to try to get right to the materials that I want to be using and sketch in them. Then with those photographs, I can then draw on those and manipulate the information that's there, as I'm currently in the process of working in patterns made out of modules. So any kind of notation that one can make is a good one. And any kind of abbreviation or language you can build is helpful in trying to get more things done at once. I also like to I have a little symbol that I use. It's just a little spiral, but I put that next to anything I have that comes to me as an idea. That's
like in your journal.
Yeah. Like an original idea. So even if I'm like at a business conference learning about how to run my coaching business and I have an idea either for that or for my artwork, I notate it as this is my idea and I want to go back to it later and check it out because I won't have time to flesh it out.
I totally do that too.
So that's what I do. Notation. Photographs are great. God bless the digital camera. I don't know what we did without it.
Yeah.
Because
and let your ideas come out is basically what it is. Like, let them come out every which way.
Right.
And then find some system of tracking that so that you don't lose your original, intellectual property or content or brilliant download about what project needs to happen next.
Right. And if anybody who ever hears this podcast is able to hook up a video camera to my dream life, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, because you got great stuff.
Because my dreams are so epic and I can never get them down fast enough.
Yeah.
And the little window of waking in which I remember them is so short that by the time I'm out of bed, it's gone. Mm. So the whole keep a notebook by your bed thing, that doesn't even work for me because it's too fast. But I live a fascinating dream life and I wish that I could watch it at 2 p.m. and get ideas from it.
Yeah, really. Because, if you haven't seen Carrie Seid's art yet, there's going to be a link somewhere around this podcast. Please check it out. It's magical. But having seen her studio and having seen your art and how you create and just the magnitude of, light and color that you play with, I can't imagine what your dream life is like. It's probably awesome.
Well, it's just that I come up with, it's not even cool ideas for artwork, but more like buildings and cities and transportation modes and just
awesome.
I'd solve all kinds of problems in my dreams that
That's great.
I think could be useful.
Dream life is a great place to practice that creation too, that ability to manifest if you can start playing with lucid dreaming and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'll try that.
Awesome. So what else? Your coaching business has already yielded amazing results. I know you've shared some success stories with me about people that you've helped, but what are some of your favorite things to sort of help people discover, uncover, recover, or,
Oh, I love that question. My favorite thing to help people discover is just what stories they're telling themselves about what's going on and how they get fixed, like we all do at some point, on ideas from other people or from the past, you know, about who they are, what they can do or what they can't do, or who they aren't. So going through that process of just asking someone, where'd you get that idea? You know, that you're not talented or that you're not smart, or, you know, and walking back the story to its origin is always extremely fascinating and really powerful for my clients, because they start to see that that story isn't even their story, it's someone else's story, you know, and that they can just push it aside.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a very fast and lovely process of cleaning one's mind of all that crap and debris that we carry around for other people. Because once you do that, it's incredibly liberating, and that's when the magic really comes, right, from the tactics. That's a magic tactic right there.
Right there.
That's my favorite one, is just look at this construction that you've made that is from usually an incident, but it becomes a belief, you know, and like made out of this hard material. And so my favorite thing to do is just blast it with a jackhammer and watch the parts fly into oblivion.
Yeah.
And make space.
That limitation of who am I to do this, or I couldn't possibly because ...
Right.
And then we replace that with, oh wait, maybe I can. What would it look like if I did?
Yeah.
What would be the first step towards that? And, you know, for you it was an awareness of, I am not getting enough of my creative juices flowing at this gig. Even though I got a design gig out of college. Yeah. For me, I remember the first time was quitting architecture school to replace it with art school. Because I didn't want to create by commission for the first however long of my career. Until I made it as an architect and then could create on my own. So I think most people have that creative side to them, whether they're artists or whether they're just... imaginative and thinkers or writers or whatever you are, that if there's a part of you seeking more, any little part of you, even one that you've tried to beat down into its little hole, let it out of the box sometime. And if you need support to do that, there's amazing coaches out there like Carrie that can help you really unlock your mind, unlock that old shit and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Molly, I just want to add to what you said, that I think that's so important, and more, even bigger, to make it bigger, is we deserve to be ourselves because we exist, because we were born, because we occupy time and space, and we breathe oxygen, and we deserve it as much as anybody. Everybody deserves it. Everybody deserves to be who they are. Everybody deserves to listen to their intuition. Everybody is entitled to their creativity, and we need everybody. So, you know, you deserve it because you're here.
Yeah.
People think they have to earn it. They don't.
No.
You don't have to earn it. You were born deserving it. You'll always deserve it. And it's just a question of entitling yourself to that volume button, you know, to crank it up loud enough so you hear it every day.
Right. Just the same way that you dub yourself an artist or you dub yourself a writer. No one's going to give you that title. You have to just simply hang your hat and decide it's so. And on that note, my mother has a really great phrase I love about being a writer, which I think applies to art as well, that it doesn't matter if you write a thing in your life. If you feel bad about not writing, then you're a writer. And I think if you feel bad about not listening to your creative muse or edge, or letting some part of you be in that creative space, that makes you an artist. And I say, if you're an artist or if you're a writer, get to work already.
Yeah.
Get that shit created. Make it happen.
Absolutely. Well said. That's beautiful.
Yeah. You might as well. If it's calling you to do so, you might as well.
Well, what is there better to do?
There's nothing better to do.
What?
It's so much more fun to just make stuff.
Absolutely. Or unmake stuff.
Right. Yes, exactly. Well, is there anything else? Any last insights or breakthroughs that you've had in your own journey that you just want to share?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think it's possible, and I've learned this from more just personal experience than art experience, like life experience, that things happen very quickly and very unexpectedly sometimes. And because of that, I have learned that it is possible to make a major paradigm shift in a very short period of time. Mm-hmm. So I've learned that one the hard way through like loss and grief and shock, the shock that comes with loss and grief. But the good part about it is I've informed my creative life with that knowledge so that I know that I can make a paradigm shift about what I'm doing at any given time. Just the way I might get bad news on the phone at any given time, you know? So I've made that translation, and I'd say that's my biggest breakthrough is life can change on a dime, but so can you.
You can choose to change it on a dime.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And why what you're doing, Molly, with your life right now is so exciting and inspiring to see you answer the call of, you know, your intuition that's telling you to travel and move and live life in the way you design yourself every day is a beautiful thing and a great model for the rest of us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And I definitely agree that we are the creators of our reality. And the more that we choose to believe it, the more we can start enjoying that and creating more ease and more play and more fun.
It's so much more fun.
Yeah, and more juicy yumminess, as our friend Ivana would say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Suck it up.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Carrie, thank you for having me in your amazing, beautiful home and studio and
thank
pool.
you, Molly.
And I'll just let you guys in on the secret that we're recording this podcast from Carrie's bed because it just seemed like the best place to do it.
It's the quietest, but also the comfiest, right?
It is.
It's so cushy. It's almost like work is not work at all.
And how does it get better than that?
It really doesn't. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
That was so much fun.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Tactical Magic. To find out more, please visit our website, wildheartsriseup.com. Be sure to take a second and subscribe to the show and come back next week for another edition of Tactical Magic.